to do something new, you need, what do you need when you're doing something new?
Cognitive ability.
Abilities, okay.
Motivation.
Motivation.
Inspiration.
Inspiration. All these things are resources. Can we just categorize it as resources? So, if you are the resource who's expected to perform, what is that one resource with which you can just go ahead and start doing anything that you want? Your cognitive skills, where without anything you can just perform something on the board. That just feels like good stuff for doing any training, for being a life coach maybe. Or maybe you are with your kid and no matter what he asks, you have an answer for it. Good or wrong, I am a follower of Calvin and Hobbes. So if the dad's response comes in that order, nothing like it. So if you had unlimited memory and you had unlimited resources, would you be able to come up to your expected scenario somewhere in future? Or will something else still stop you? Life does not like to be stagnant. The present state is something that you do not like. You want to move ahead in life because there's something better, something more precious in future that you wish to have in your life. So, we have something called as the present state and we have something called as
Future state.
the desired state. If we had to go from here to here, how does your brain really work up the path or keep you away from the path? Let's quickly analyze that. Very simple stuff. Whenever you look at something, do you remember 100% of it? We just proved it is not. But we also proved it is possible to remember many a things. So, if that is the case, if you do not remember everything, what is your brain really trying to do every time? This is you who has just seen or felt something and you are supposed to perceive it in your system. How do you do that? Every time you see something, your brain plays a game of filtering. How does it do it? It does delete, distort, and generalize. It uses three mechanisms to filter out unwanted data and keep something to itself. Delete, distort, generalize. For example, I just move around and then look somewhere else. Someone asks, how many people are wearing red in the room? Answer might suddenly be 3 for someone, 2 for someone. Because I generalized 2 pinks to be red. You are looking at a huge green field and someone asks you a question, where is the yellow patch in it? You say nowhere. You just generalize the entire field to be green. Now this is done by the memory or by your brain to have short-term memory experiences. If the same had to be long-term and deep interaction with the scenario that you are in, you need to use long-term memory aspects into it. But by default, deleting it is something that always happens. Now distorting it. A golden opportunity comes your way and an opportunity comes your way. Which one of these two are you going to select? Golden opportunity. Is there something called as golden opportunity? Gold is a metal, it's a color. And how do you know that one is golden and the other one is not? Your brain likes to have these kind of metaphors to come its way. So, the distortion part is pretty high. You distorted those associations over here and you suddenly saw that you could remember more things. Third part is generalization. So it's very simple to say that I have few people in the room than say I have 20 people in the room. Because you have to remember by counting all these. So the generalization part also works out a lot. So whenever your brain sees, hears or does something, it does a delete, distort and generalize, and it creates something called as an event. An event is your perception. What you wanted it to be, or you believe is what just happened in front of you. Now, these events that are created inside yourselves put you into two different states, either positive or not so positive, which is also called negative. When you are in the positive frame of mind and in the negative frame of mind, different perceptions come out, or the amount of information that you start processing changes. When you are positive, you are happy. When you're positive, you are informed. When you're positive, you are accepted by the crowd for the way you are cheerful, and many other things like that. Let's call this as the resourceful state. Okay? When you are in the negative state of mind, what do? You're sad. You're irritable. You're angry. And people don't really wish to have you around when you're in that state. This is the not resourceful state. So, when you are learning something new, somewhere in the past, if you were not in a good mood because you just had fight with your wife when you enter the classroom, in the beginning part of it, do you think you would be accepting everything that is coming into the system? Or would you be rejecting something out? Being in the resourceful state helps you absorb more details into you. It helps you process more data also. So, how can we stay in this positive, resourceful state than the not so resourceful state? Is the question.
Yeah, I have one question. So, if there's something that interests us, so where does our biases come into this? I'm not sure if I'm jumping these things, but DDG is also governed by our biases and our, say for example, like the example that you take about a golden opportunity versus an opportunity. So I'm not a very literate person, but an opportunity is an opportunity. But if someone is like very literate, he'll say that, okay, oh, it's a golden opportunity. So how do you interpret it, and how does your biases influence this? Well, also
you had a little answer in your question.
Possible.
A very educated person might just conceive this as a golden opportunity, whereas I might not. Right? So there is a belief system based on which you perceive something to be true or false. We'll be getting onto it because that's a part of the system that we're going to concentrate on next, which is called as outcome. Alright? So, we had these two sources. Which part of the system are you going to have your data being deleted, distorted, and generalized with, and that will cause you to do something? Every time you're in positive state of mind or in the negative state of mind, you will still tend to take action. And the reaction of that action is what will either create those painful memories as to why did I do this when I was not so in the right mood of mind, or anyone who is always taking a good decision every time. He's always in the positive frame of mind. Every decision that he takes gets us millions of dollars. Wouldn't that be a great state to be in? So, if someone is in the form and is always doing it right, which just means that his present state is in the positive frame of mind. This present has two relatives, the past and the future. What if the person's past was so painful that his present continues to be painful? He could never break away from the past, that he could never be happy over here. And when this is the case, he's so unsure of his future that he is unable to perform well on the future side also. So if for such a person we could get rid of something we call as the past painful memory, how would he perform? This is something that we did in a previous class, where we got rid of some unwanted memories from your system, and that helps you take better decisions in your current scenario. We're not going to do that right now. I will do that if we have some time at the end of the session. But we had Melvin do this.
Yeah.
What change did you feel by doing this activity? This is the first time you ever did this kind of activity. Did you feel that there was some change?
Yeah, so what Krishkant made us do was close your eyes and probably it's more of, to cut the long story short, letting out all your negative energies types. Okay, breathe in and breathe out exercises. That's what he made us do. So he made us probably just recall back instances, so on and so forth. So it was more about just letting out all your.
But how did you feel after it was done?
Oh yeah, relaxed and felt much better.
So, what does that really help you do? If you're unsure of something, where you're not being decisive, is something really keeping you from making those right choices? If you are feeling that wherever I'm supposed to go in future is not, or maybe not the right thing to be done, your confidence levels are low. Can you get rid of something from your past that can start getting you confidence from here onwards? That's one part of the exercise. But after you've done that, why are you doing all these things? To have a good future? Coming back to this box, the present state is something where you do not want to be. A desired state is where you want to be. And when you are going from here to here, what is it that you need now? Some resources. Would you like to talk about those resources and what happens when you reach here that can actually give you some additional energy to do whatever you want to do? I'm letting go of the past painful memory because you don't really seem to have some. Everyone just feels it is negligible. We'll see it if we have some more time in the end. But going to this particular case here, which we call it as outcome in neuro-linguistic programming, let's see how this would help us. Outcome. And this is where the first exercise that we did in the class really comes into picture. So, what did we do in the first half of the class?